Today we are going to be making chicken pot pie soup, and while I get everything prepared for the soup, I'm actually going to use store-bought pie crust to make what is called like pie crust crackers to go with it. This is not my recipe, I found it online, but I wanted to make it because Kylie loves chicken pot pie, so I wanted to kind of make it into a soup, and then these little crackers kind of make the crust since the soup doesn't have it, instead of having to bake them and do all that. So let's get started and let these go ahead and warm up so that way we can use them later. So I'm going to use a rotisserie chicken because I didn't feel like cooking chicken, but you can do like chicken breast in a crock pot, or you can cook them on the stove or whatever. That's Asher, it's fine. But like I said, I'm using rotisserie just because I love rotisserie chicken and it's just easier and a time saver. I picked this up at Kroger when I went the other day. So I'm just going to chop this up and get it cut off the bone and go ahead and put it in my pot. Okay, so I'm just going to cut this apart and then I'm going to take everything off the bone. There's really no specific way that you have to do this or how the chicken should be. If you want to shred it, shred it. If you want to chop it into like squares, chop it into squares. Squares would probably be a little bit more like how pot pie is. But like I said, I'm just going to kind of cut this into like slices and then just dice it up because this is cold. I stuck it in the fridge, so it's not really gonna shred or anything like that, but just like little tiny cutlets like this, and just go ahead and do that. If you're not using a rotisserie chicken, I would say probably 2 or 3 chicken breasts would be good, or even like 3 or 4 thighs. Like I said, it's really preference, but rotisserie chicken's just so good, and it's like $7 at Kroger, so I just grabbed one, and they're so full of flavor, and it's so much less work. So now that I have all of my chicken cut up in my pot, I'm going to peel 2 stalks of celery and 2 carrots. I've rinsed them, I've already got them washed off and everything. I'm going to peel them. Listen, let me give you guys some advice, okay? Peeling stuff by hand, junk. But getting one of these, absolutely. And you know what? Dollar Tree has these for $1.25. And it works perfect. Can you see that in there? Mm-hmm. You can see the cut?
Yeah.
Oh. I didn't know. But anyways, this thing works like a dream. Look at that. Like it's just as good as the ones that you're going to pay $15 for. So go to Dollar Tree and get you one because it's a lifesaver. Look how easy that is. No more struggling by hand. Me and Kylie, the other day, we made our potato soup, and by the time we were done, like, doing the whole bag, Kylie wanted to do it by herself, but by the time she was done, like, she was done. She was over it. She's like, I'm never doing that again. And I was like, man, we gotta get a peeler. And so we were at Dollar Tree the other day, and I got this one, and it works amazing. It's super simple. It just slides right off there. And my celery, I'm probably going to cut these down pretty small just because to me, I don't like big chunks of carrots. I love the taste of carrot, but I don't want to get like a big chunk of it in there. And the bigger they are, I don't know. I just don't like it. So I'm probably going to cut celery and I'm weird about celery. Like I cut all this off. I don't know about you guys. Like I'm not a professional chef. I just like to cook. So I just do what I like, but however you want to do yours, you do it. Like, you're not going to get any judgment from me because I don't really care. Just do it how you like. I just mess around with things. But, like, the really hard ends and stuff, I don't feel like they have any flavor anyways, and they're just annoying. But, I'm going to chop these down fairly small. I'll just kind of do this. I cut my stalk in half, and then I cut it in half again. And I'm just going to take it and do little snips, and then I'll probably run my knife over it crooked a few times just to kind of chop it a little bit more. And the great thing about soup is, for the most part, you can literally, like if you don't like celery, don't put it in there. If you don't like carrots, don't put them in there. It is so customizable, and that is my favorite thing about soup, is you can do whatever you want. You don't like something, you don't gotta put it in there. You like something, add it in. They're so easy to just make something that you like. I'm just gonna throw these in the pot. about putting a crock pot or two in Sip Gypsy and having soups, because this is something that I can make directly in a crock pot. So that's something too, is I'm gonna make it stovetop, and it'll just take a little bit, maybe an hour, probably not even that long, to cook and everything soften up and be ready to eat, because my chicken's already cooked and all of that. But this is something that you literally can throw into a crock pot as well. So you can dice everything up if you wanted to not do this first thing in the morning. Like, you could dice everything at night, put it in a container in the fridge, and then in the morning throw it all into a crock pot, leave it on low for like 8 hours. There you go. You know, it's not as hands-on that way, and it can be cooking while you're at work or whatever you have to do. But yeah, this is definitely something that would be awesome in a crock pot. So now we have all of our celery and carrots in there. I just cut them into little squares. I'm going to dice up an onion, and I'm actually going to saute all of this. Since my chicken was cold, I'm just going to saute it with all my veggies too. But once I get these all chopped up, I'll have a pan going with some, you can use olive oil, but I'm going to use probably bacon grease that I saved, just because it's going to add a little more flavor. So if you save bacon grease, or you want to cook a little bit of bacon for this, I would recommend sauteing them in bacon grease and maybe adding a little bit of butter to your bacon grease. I like onion, and I don't typically chop my onions up real fine. I use like bigger chunks of onions because I just prefer to eat them that way. I don't know how y'all chop onions, but I hate cutting onions because I never know what I'm doing with them. I just kind of do something like this, and it works for me because, like I said, I like onions. It doesn't bother me when they're bigger, and I'm not going to sit here all day and, you know. And I just feel like I'm going to get scrutinized so bad for how I chop, because
it looks perfect, Mom.
Chop like a weirdo. I am not a professional by any means, so don't come at me. Alright, so now I have everything up to temp, and it's bubbling up, and I'm just going to drop all this down there. I could have done this in the pot, but I did this backwards, so it's fine. I'm just going to saute this for a little bit, just long enough that I can kind of soften up the celery and the onions mostly. Asher has figured out that he can scream like a pterodactyl. And that's what he does now, non-stop. So I'm just going to let this cook for like 5-6 minutes, just enough that it gets cooked down. Kind of stirring it up a little bit. And I'll stir this every 1 to 2 minutes just to kind of rotate everything. But with this, I'm going to use garlic salt, and I just cover everything. Like, I try to put as much seasonings and stuff that I possibly can, because I cannot stand to have bland food. That's alright, I'll wipe it up. I'm going to throw a little pepper in there. And something that I use in everything, and I don't think a lot of people use, is paprika. Like, I love paprika. I just think it's so good. And garlic salt. Again, I'm going to put a little more. I feel like the seasoning gods told me that was not good, so I added a little more. Alright, while this one is sauteing and heating up, I'm actually going to put a little bit of butter down in the original pot. And then I'm going to put a third cup of flour into that butter after it's melted. And I'm going to make a little bit of a roux just to kind of have like a thicker like soup texture. I think I said earlier that this was not my recipe, and what I meant to say was this is not my idea. I seen somebody post this. But they didn't post like a recipe for it. So I'm just kind of winging it as I go. I'm not gonna measure this flour either. I'm just gonna put it in there. But if you want to be safe, I usually say like a third to a quarter cup of flour when you're doing stuff like this to like 3 tablespoons of butter or something. But yeah, it's whatever. I just kind of wing it, look at it, see what it looks like. I stir that around the whole time. And then I'm gonna add a whole box of this chicken stock. I may end up actually adding a little bit more out of another one. Okay, now that I have my chicken stock and my flour mixture up to a rolling boil, and it is starting to get, you don't want it thick, I mean it's still soup-like, but it is thicker than just chicken stock. Now once that it has thickened, I'm going to go ahead and pour this over into this pot. And I'll stir that in. You guys, this smells so good. You have no idea. When I'm coming up with something or an idea on my own, I don't have measurements, so like I used a whole box of chicken stock in there, and I'm gonna let this cook down just for a little bit. I'm gonna put it on low and just let it simmer, and then come back to it probably in about 10-15 minutes. All right, so I'm gonna cover that up and let it sit, and then we're gonna go ahead and make the pie crust crackers. We are going to move on to the pie crust crackers. I don't really know how this is gonna pan out, but I'm pretty excited. So these say that it needs to be on 450. So I'm gonna go ahead and preheat that. Alright, so I have my pan here with some parchment paper on it. And I have my pie crust. I don't know if I'll use both of those. We'll see how many it makes. I'm actually gonna use this sandwich cutter that's Dinosaurs to cut out my crackers with, just because they're cute and they're fun. So I'm just going to put down a little bit of flour to work with my dough. All we're gonna do is we're gonna roll it out just a little bit thinner than what it comes out of there. We probably don't have to do a whole lot to it. It's pretty good. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut a few of these and see what they turn out like. You want to put flour on everything because you don't want it to stick. So let's just cut. Look how cute, little dinos. And then just lay them out on your sheet. I wonder how they'll taste. I haven't never had pie crust crackers before. But these are so cute as dinosaurs. I'm obsessed with dinosaurs. I have made Connor obsessed with dinosaurs. And I hope Asher is also obsessed with dinosaurs because I just think they are adorable. Alright, I'm gonna wait on the oven to preheat, and then I'm gonna check my soup again and see if I need to add any more broth to that and get this cleaned up. So I just pulled these out, and these ended up taking about 6 minutes. And I'm just gonna rub a little bit of butter over top of them. Okay, look, it's done. And look at my little crackers. I'm so excited. So let's try it out. See how it tastes. And I added some cheese and celery to the top of mine. That is so good. It tastes just like a pot pie. It is absolutely delicious. If you guys like pot pies or you feel like trying this, just let me know what you think about it and if it's good, and if you want more recipes like this. Oh, this is good.